What's up, y'all? My cat is staring at me from under my desk, so I apologize if you see her walking around at any point in this vid. So today's topic came to me because I have been making a lot of pre-mades lately, making a bunch of designs, and I got to thinking what pre-mades sell better than others, and obviously one of the biggest factors in that is the species of the character that you're trying to sell. Now I say one of the biggest factors because while you watch this video, keep in mind that another huge factor in selling a pre-made is the design. It plays no small part. Less common species with a good design can really sell, and likewise a really popular species with a bad design cannot sell. So design really plays a big role in if you can or can't sell your product, but it's not the first aspect of a pre-made, and so that's why I wanted to go over this, the actual first aspect, and that is picking the species. Also, another small disclaimer to this video, I am just going off the knowledge of what I have experienced with selling pre-mades as well as what I have seen with some other popular makers. So without further ado, this is the top 5 best animals to make for fursuit pre-mades. I'm going to be going kind of down, so 5 is at the bottom of the list and number 1 is the best, obviously. For this list, I'm going to try and generally cover about 3 points. I'm going to cover what they are, I'm going to cover why makers choose them and like to do them, and I'm going to try and cover why people buy them, why they are the top 5 most popular, easy selling fursuit species. Alright, number 5 on the list is going to be big cats. Now, big cats are lions, tigers, leopards, cheetahs, that whole shebang, all the big kitties that you see in the wild. If I really had to pick one that I would say sells a little bit above, the others, I'd either say tiger or lion probably are the most popular out of the big cats. Again, though, there's so many big cats out there and they're all equally pretty good sellers. I have both sold lions and tigers as pre-mades and they both have done pretty well. I think one of the reasons that makers like to choose them is because they're pretty easy to design, especially any of those big cats with spots or stripes. You could take like a tiger's natural orange design and you could switch up like 1 or 2 colors, like have a blue tiger with like purple stripes, and hey, suddenly you have a really fun design. It's still a tiger, but now it's all pretty. So the ease of design is definitely a big selling point on big cats. They're pretty easy to get fun with without taking too much away from what the actual animal is. And in regards to lions, if you've ever made a lion before, their manes are really fun to do. They're really fun to wear too. So I say those are probably 2 of the biggest reasons that makers choose to do big cats a lot. Why do people buy big cats? Well, they're kind of a staple of the furry fandom, as you've seen. Lion King is a huge thing that got people into becoming furries, and for good reason. People love their lions, they love their tigers, they love their cats. So combined with the fact that they are pretty generally easy-ish to design and the fact that people will always come out for a big cat, that is why they are number 5 on this list. Okay, moving on, number 4 on the list. This is the only species on this list that is a original species, and that is angel dragons. If you don't know what an angel dragon is, it is an original species created by the Eno Dog on Twitter. And if you've ever seen Telephone, you'll know what an angel dragon is. To my knowledge, they are a combination of a dragon and a horse, which are both awesome species, which makes for an awesome combo. Why do makers make them? I'm gonna be straight with you all. I mean, no disrespect, but they are popular and they make money. And there's nothing wrong with that because most of the species on this list are cash-ins because they're popular. But that is a main reason. Case in point, the second highest selling fursuit in auction ever was an angel dragon. That went for about $11,000, I believe, a couple years back, sold by the Phoenix Nest. So it just goes to show you that angel dragons do sell. From a design aspect though, they're actually pretty fun to design because most angel dragons are designed on a theme. You're not going to see just, a regular angel dragon. You're going to see a chocolate themed angel dragon, or you're going to see a rainbow themed one, or a unicorn themed one. And that's really fun when you're a designer because themes are always so much easier to design from than just, a bunch of random colors. So that's really a big fun aspect of creating an angel dragon when you are making one, especially for auction that you think people are going to want to buy. Why do people buy angel dragons? Kind of similar to the last point, they're popular. The reason they're popular is because Telephone, who I aforementioned in this video, became a really popular fursuiter a couple years back and is still a pretty popular one to this day. And because of that, Telephone has a lot of fans, and fans generally want to look like their idols. This is nothing new to the furry fandom. If you see your favorite celebrity wearing a pink shirt, a lot of people are going to be like, hey, I want to wear that pink shirt too, so I can look like my favorite celebrity. So wanting to have an angel dragon suit because one of your favorite fursuiters is also an angel dragon is completely normal. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people will buy angel dragon fursuit. Not to say they don't enjoy the species either, because I'm sure they do. It has a lot of cool lore going behind it. But for the sake of this video, the reason why they sell very well... Oh my god! God. Sorry to pause mid-video, but my cat is literally jumping on my camera, and I'm sorry if it shifted a bit. But yeah, angel dragons are popular, they're fun, and they're pretty cool to design too. So that's why they're number 4 on the list. Had to turn my fan on because I'm getting kind of hot, so if you see my fur, flying. Okay, number 3 on the list. I think you're gonna start noticing a theme with these last 3. Number 3 on the list is African wild dog. Now, if you've never heard of an African wild dog or an African painted dog or whatever you want to call them, they are dogs native to Africa, and they are kind of what they sound like. They're a very pretty spotted dog that is basically generally shades of black, white, browns, and they're a really unique kind of wild dog. Why makers like to design them is pretty similar, I'd say, to the reason they like to design big cats like leopards and tigers and stuff. African wild dogs can be very pretty in their own right. You really don't have to design much with them to get a very unique and attractive design. There's actually a lot of, naturally colored wild dogs out there that look just fine, and if you have them with the right maker, they can make just a straight up natural colored wild dog look super pretty and attractive to buy. Wild dogs are very easy to get really pretty with minimum effort. Not saying you can't put effort into them, but you could take the natural design of a wild dog's pelt and turn it to, blue, yellow, and green, and suddenly you have now an even prettier wild dog because now it's all colorful. People also like to do themes with them too. I've seen holiday themed ones. I've seen nature themed ones, and they'll replace spots with shapes like smileys or leaves or all that stuff, and it just makes them really pretty. And because of that, they're a pretty attractive thing to design when coming to pre-made. People buy them for that exact same reason. They're honestly, I keep saying pretty, but they're a really cool kind of animal, and thus you can get a lot of uniqueness with very little, changes into the design. And of course, as you'll see with the other 3, it doesn't hurt that they are a canine, which is one of the most popular species in the fandom. So, fun design, fun natural, doggy, it's a win. Number 2 on the list is the wolf. If you don't know what a wolf is, I don't know if you should be a furry. I kid, but of course the wolf is probably one of the most famous animals on the planet. They're a big wild dog. Aside from the obvious point that wolves are pretty good sellers just in their own right, wolves, I would say, are one of the species that are more of a blank canvas. Of course, you can get a lot of cool designs going with natural colors and what a wolf actually looks like, but there's so many possibilities with wolves. They don't really have a set natural pelt. Every wolf kind of looks slightly different with different kind of markings on their fur, even though some of the colors are the same. So wolves are really kind of like the artist's canvas to do anything they want with them and still make them look like a wolf. So from that standpoint, I think that's one of their big pulls as being pretty fun for designers to create pre-mades from. Why do they sell? Because they're wolves. You've heard the term wolfaboo before. There are people who just shell out for wolves because they're wolves. I know that's not really an answer, but it kind of is in its own right. So there you go. Fun to design and a permanently popular species in the furry fandom. Before I do my number 1, I am going to give a honorable mention to the fox. The fox is not actually in the top 5, but it deserves a mention. The reason I didn't put it in the actual countdown is because even though foxes are super popular in the fandom and you see them everywhere, the natural design of a red fox is not as interesting as, you know, the natural design of an African wild dog or a tiger. So I think if you were to do a natural colored fox, you'd probably have a little bit harder time selling it than if you were doing a natural colored tiger. And just for that reason, I'm just putting it in the honorable mentions. But a fox is definitely still one on there that if you know, want to sell a popular species, a fox will probably 9 times out of 10 still get you money. And finally, the number one on this list, which I'm sure comes as a surprise to no one, is canine. Now when I say this, I don't mean like, you know, German Shepherd, Dalmatian, whatever. I mean actually a canine, a dog, a straight up dog. Now I'm really hoping I don't have to explain what a dog is. They are one of the most popular species on the planet. They are doggies. They are man's best friend. Why do makers like to design them? I'm gonna be totally candid. They are a huge money maker. You know that if you need to make a fursuit for money and you want to make sure you make that money, you're gonna make a dog. There's nothing wrong with that. Some species has to be the popular one to bring in the money, and it's gonna be a dog, a canine. Generally, just a random canine. It doesn't have to be a specific species. It can be sometimes, but it doesn't have to be. There's so many people who just sell, you know, dogs, canines, pups, whatever you want to call them, and they sell perfectly well. Much in the same sense as the wolf too, because canine and dog is such a super general term, there's so much you can do to play with them, and it's really hard to actually not look like a dog when you want to be one. More often than not, if you're going for a specific species of dog, you'll have people just being like, dog, because they can't really recognize the species, and so it's a win-win either way. And why do people buy them? I don't think I have to say it anymore, but I'll do it one more time. They're dogs. People love dogs. People will always love dogs in any capacity. Dogs are arguably the most popular species in the fandom. Like, regardless of if they're specific breeds or whatever, a dog will 9 times out of 10 be somebody's first persona ever. Of course, that's, like I said, that's not everybody, but I can guarantee you that if you talk to a random furry at some point in the past, even if they aren't now, a dog or a canine was their persona. And taking back to what I said about the angel dragon, case in point, the most expensive fursuit pre-made to ever sell was a dog. It wasn't, as far as I remember, it wasn't a specific type of dog. It might have been like a wild canine, but it was called a mutt, and it sold for $16,000 from Mixed Candy. So that's it. Dogs sell. Dogs will always sell. Canines will always sell. So if you need money and you need it now, make a dog. Well, everyone, that is it for this list. I hope you enjoyed. As I've said, this is all completely based on my personal experience as what I've observed in others' auctions. I personally have sold a tiger, a lion, and multiple dogs, and they have all sold really well. Again, if you have had trouble with these species selling, you might want to reassess your designs. But at the end of the day, even the worst designed dog will generally always sell. As you can probably guess from this list, there's going to be a top 5 worst fursuit species for auction, and I'm going to be making that one next. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're currently working on a pre-made and you need some ideas for species to help make you some quick money, I hope this helped you a little bit. And again, I'm not trying to disparage any of the species on this list. There are people out there who genuinely love the species, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love dogs. I love big cats. So just because they're popular doesn't mean they're bad. Remember, things are popular for a reason. And all 5 of the species on this list deserve to be popular. So that's it. Until next time, I will see you guys with the top 5 worst fursuit species to sell in auctions. Bye!